our News from the Hill segment tonight, President Trump released his budget plan. There are some things I like, some things I think could be done better. But one thing is for sure, liberals will lose their minds over even the smallest budget cuts. They've accused Trump of making draconian budget cuts. And to that, I say, good. It's about time. Watch.
We're no longer going to measure compassion by the number of programs or the number of people on those programs, but by the number of people we help get off of those programs. We're not going to measure compassion by the amount of money that we spend, but by the number of people that we help. And that is how you can get 3% economic growth. That is how you can balance the budget in 10 years. That is how you can borrow money from people with still promising and intending to pay it back from them. That is how you can help people take charge of their own lives again. And that is the part of the budget that deals with the American greatness.
With me now from the Heritage Foundation, Romina Boccia. Romina, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
All right, talk to me about this budget. It's definitely a bold proposal, I would say. We are $20 trillion in debt. What do you make of this?
I think that this budget is very much needed. It aims at the goal of balancing in 10 years, which is a critical goal that Congress should also adhere to. It has about $3.6 trillion in specific spending cuts. And if you're looking at them, they're very sensible. They return programs that belong to the states or the private sector back to those entities. And when it comes to the welfare state, they're asking people to do something for the benefits that they receive. That means implementing work requirements. They work in helping people get back to work, and it's a compassionate way to make sure people get the benefits they need when they need them.
Right, and talk to me a little bit about the liberal critics here. I mean, the word that I think has been used the most is draconian. I'm not sure that the Democrats have expanded their vocabulary since the last budget that was proposed here. But President Trump made a promise during the campaign to preserve Social Security, to preserve Medicare, and he follows through on that in this proposal.
He did. There are no Medicare cuts at all. Social Security retirement is also spared, but there are some reforms to the Social Security disability program. Once again, those also follow that compassionate pathway. Today, we have 5% of Americans on the disability program. This budget says, let's try different approaches to help people get back to work. That could involve temporary benefits, that it could involve more reviews. Those individuals who can work should work. They should not be on the disability program forever.
Right, right. And talk to me about the Medicaid cuts, because that, I think, is the root of a lot of the Democratic outrage right now. They're saying, oh, he's trying to kick people off of Medicaid. He promised he wouldn't do that either, but he's cutting a lot of money. How's that going to work out?
So on Medicaid, primarily, they're slowing the growth in program spending, which is projected to grow steeply. So there's no real cut. It's only a cut to the baseline, but that's Washington speak, of course, for cuts. But it also starts an important conversation over what is the proper role for the federal government in this Medicaid program versus the state governments. And what we have found is that when states have to spend their own money, their own taxpayers' money, they tend to spend it more responsibly. So this gives the states an option of a block grant or a per capita allotment for their Medicaid rolls, and then states can decide who should benefit, who should be eligible, and what benefits they should get.
Right. So it's not, as Democrats are saying, that we're just going to be kicking low-income people, needy people to the streets and not helping them with their health care. It's just a more financially smart, a more financially smart way to do this. Another interesting part of this, I don't know how I feel about this, Romina, so you have to tell me what you think of this, is the paid family leave aspect of this. That was something that Donald Trump's daughter, Ivanka, was talking about a lot on the campaign trail. It's kind of her pet issue, I think, but that is included in this budget.
It is. It disconcerts me quite a bit because this is adding a new federal entitlement, and paid family leave is already something that many employers are providing voluntarily to their workers in order to attract a high-quality workforce. It's also something many states have been experimenting with, and I think it should continue at those levels. I do worry that that program at the federal level is misguided. Right now, the projections of costs are very low at only $19 billion, but I think that to the extent that it encourages states to drop their own programs and private sector companies to do so as well, because there will be a federal program now instead, it could really raise costs for this program in the long run. And I also think it would hurt women like you and me because it makes us a liability. It puts additional costs on companies who hire women, especially women of childbearing age. I'm very concerned about that.
Right, right. And I just don't think it's ever a real smart idea to transfer power from the private sector in the states over to the federal government in issues, especially when it comes to entitlements or welfare or what what have you. I mean, my response to the fact that Democrats are calling this draconian, my response is good. It's about time that we cut back on the size and scope of government. We got to rein in that wasteful spending, or else, I mean, I know it sounds cliche, but our children and grandchildren are literally going to be burdened by this. China's going to own us. We have to do something to pay off this debt. Romina, thanks for coming on the show and breaking this down. It was great to have you.